Well, good day and welcome to you. It is January the 5th, and this is actually the third video I put up today. So if you've listened to all three videos, you get a gold star today. If you haven't, well, that's fine too. But my name is Gary Willing, and I want to welcome everyone to Search for Signs. And I'm just really excited to have something to talk about 3 times today. So I love putting these videos up. I love talking about it with people. I love hearing the responses that people have to these videos, and of course asking questions about it definitely helps, and not only me understand where you're thinking, but also to give us something to talk about in the next few videos and so forth. But anyway, I had an experience that happened to me the other day that I wanted to kind of talk about. And no, it wasn't a Maitreya experience. It was actually just a experience I had with an older generational person. But it relates to what's really going on today. Now, I've talked about this before in terms of the work stoppages, because in my line of work, I've experienced this firsthand where people are not wanting to work, people are quitting, people aren't coming into work as much as they're supposed to be doing because they're on the schedule, but I don't really want to come in, that kind of thing, and then eventually quit or whatever like this, causing huge issues in the company that I work for and so forth. Other people have complained about the same thing. Of course, it's in the news a lot. It's not every day, but they talk about it a lot and how it's creating problems. It's creating logistical problems. It's creating, product shortages and so forth. Things aren't on the shelf the way that they used to be and so forth for people. And I wanted to kind of give a different perspective of this. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up again is the other day I met somebody on my job. He was an older gentleman, probably in his mid to late 60s. Of course, of the older generational cloth. And so I asked him how he was doing. And he goes, "Gotta go to work today." Now, I jokingly sang, I didn't even say it. I jokingly sang a song that my dad used to sing all the time because he loved country music. And I don't know who sang the song, but it was like, "Take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more." That's the only line I know in that song. But anyway, so I sang it to this guy. And then he, of course, responded and said, "Well, a lot of people are taking this job and shoving it." And then I responded the way that I normally do in this situation, kind of tongue-in-cheek. I said, "Well, if you can tell me how they're making money, I would like to do the same thing too." Because I like to take time off. So I can't say I blame these younger generational people that don't want to work quite as hard. And the thing that cracked me up, and the one thing that I want to talk about, in a couple things I want to talk about in references, but what inspired me to put this video up is one thing that he said. He goes, "Well, I know how they're making money." I said, "Really? How are they making money, sir?" And he goes, "Well, when Obama got elected," and I went, "Wait, Obama got elected? He's president?" And he was like, "Well, when Obama got elected, he promised everyone that if you vote for me, you don't have to work." And so I said to him, I said, "You realize Obama's not the president anymore, right?" And he kind of just gives me this blank stare and said, "In fact, the last time Obama was up for an election was his re-election almost 10 years ago," right? I was like, since then, we've actually had a Republican president, probably the one that you like the most, that you voted for, right? And now we've had another president for the last year, right? So where are you getting this thing on Obama? And I said, "You know what? Don't even tell me, sir. Have a great day." But and as he was walking away, I said, "And I also know that he never said that, right? I follow politics enough to know that he never said that, right? There's not one video that I ever saw of him on any kind of speech or election campaign promise where he said something like that in a debate or anything. Never happened. But that was what this guy thought right now. The reason why I'm bringing this up is not to talk about politics as much as I know the politicians have been scrambling on both sides. And this happened actually under Trump, believe it or not, this workshop shortage and stoppage, because in my line of work, I started to see it even before the pandemic. It was actually starting to take place. It just made it worse, I think, under the pandemic, where the younger generation wasn't wanting to work as much. They'd be on the schedule. They promised to work as many hours as the company wanted, but then, you know what? I don't want to work it. Or they would up and quit, right? And talking with these kids, a lot of them are like, "Why do I need to work this hard? I don't really need that much stuff." That's one thing that they say, right? 2, they see also their favorite TikToker or YouTuber or whoever, right, making millions of dollars just talking a bunch of crap and nonsense, and I'd rather do that than make minimum wage or slightly over minimum wage cleaning a toilet or putting, French fries in a greasy deep fryer for 8 hours a day, right, and getting grease all over me. I'd rather do what they're doing. That's kind of their mentality on it. Now, why am I talking about it, and how does it fit into this information? Well, I've talked about this before and read an article that Benjamin Kremsmaster talked about leisure, okay? And the new generation that's coming in, and it's clear that it's more and more and more of the young are starting to have this view of the world, but they really don't have a lot of fear about not working, And the old adage, a person must work or starve, they don't share that view and outlook on life. I can make my money this kind of way. I don't have to work the way that you say that I need to work. That's not that I'm telling them to work a certain way, but that's kind of what they're saying to society as a whole. I don't really want what you're saying that I need to do. And our politicians, doesn't matter whether they're a Republican or a Democrat, are scrambling, trying to figure out how to solve this issue. One issue is, the Democrats say, hey, we need to pay people more. The Republicans say, no, that's going to cause hyperinflation. They want to keep, but really, ultimately, they want to keep their profits the same, which they're not going to be able to do, and maintain a company because people aren't working. So it goes in line with what Benjamin Kremsmaster said in one of the articles that I read not too long ago. That's why I always encourage people to read these articles, is the pain and the suffering of humanity is only in the transition from the old to the new. The old was comfortable and familiar, but it's now not working. And so the new hasn't happened yet, right? So the new way of looking at life is one of leisure. His master talked about it many times. That's actually going to be the keynote of all humanity is leisure time. How to be educated on what to do with your leisure time. Not to use it selfishly and just for yourself, but look at it how you can be creative, how you can grow, how you can serve humanity and that kind of thing. Become a better person, help those around you, help the world around you and so forth. That's how we're going to be using leisure based on the teachings and education of Maitreya and of these masters and how they're going to teach us to do what they're doing. These masters they serve humanity and they're creative 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but they're not working menial jobs 7 days a week, right? Now, we're not where they're at, right? Maitreya can think a whole new wardrobe for himself at an instant, or he can create a car if he wanted to and drive in it if he wanted to. We can't do that yet, right? So we need robots or, right now it's people doing these menial jobs, but eventually in the future, robotics will take over and the things that we normally did and the things that we needed to live, like food or clothes or, whatever, that were done for very cheap labor and exploited labor and so forth will be eventually replaced by robots, which will create more unemployment, right? So unemployment issue is going to be a huge issue over the next decade unless, and here's the key, we start taking Maitreya's advice and looking at the principle of sharing. That's the only way to solve this problem because the young are not willing to change and the old seem like they're having a hard time understanding the new. And the new, younger generation don't really give a flip. So, because believe me, I've talked to enough of them, they don't really care. And you can't inspire them and inspire them to action by encouraging them, even with more money. They do not have the same sense of, they want to make money, but they don't, what companies are offering them isn't doing it for them. They need something else. And I think this is where this information really fits in. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up, again, is it's an issue that's going on in the news. It's an ongoing issue that they talk about, and it's how it's creating problems logistically, things that we would normally see on the shelves of our favorite grocery store aren't there in a timely manner anymore because of things like work stoppages and work shortages and people not wanting to work and people going on strike in their own way and that kind of stuff. But also, I want to bring this up because of how leisure and the new generation is really setting the precedent. It's charting a new course for humanity, and it might give you a better perspective on the problems. Because, like I said, the real problem and the suffering and the pain is coming from the transition from the old to the new, and we just need to start to look at and listen to Maitreya and his advice on how to create structures that support all humanity, so that we can eventually all have leisure. Because I'm sure this guy, the way that he was complaining to me, didn't sound like he liked going to work every day. So it's not something that just the new generation can benefit from. It's going to be everyone, really, is what it amounts to. But just a few things in terms of this, and this is why I like reading these articles from his master, because Benjamin Creme's master, because it really touches on it and elucidates it in a way that you really can't get anywhere else. But he said, among the problems with which humanity has faced, none looms larger in men's minds than that of unemployment. In the developing world, millions have never known regular work, while even the industrialized nations see each year the workless total inexorably mount. Quote, men must work or starve, unquote, says the age-old adage, yet need this necessarily be so? He went on to say that man is an evolving God, and foolish it would be to place a limitation on his creative possibilities. Not there is which with time he may not do. Why then lament the passing of a stage in men's long journey to perfection, which allows him at last the leisure to expand and grow? Man stands now on the threshold of a new perception of himself. His purpose and the world in which he lives. This new awareness will invoke undreamt of skills and talents which yet await expression and allow men to enter the abode of gods. When man sees himself truly as he is not will when man sees himself truly as he is, I did say it right, is not will prevent the manifestation of his divine powers. So, and he says, on all sides this glory will be seen, lighting the path to the farthest stars. Until that blessed time, man must learn to and train himself in leisure. Without leisure, man has little chance to grow. Leisure must be seen as a prerequisite for that creative thought and action which will transform all life for men. So what we're seeing now is the transition from the old, which is what this gentleman was, and I probably find myself in that too, because he's not that much older than I am. It's my point. But I relate and I understand the frustrations that he has because of my own job, but I also understand what's really happening with the new generation. They are actually going to be the generation that sets up future generations for leisure. So hopefully this adds a little benefit to your life. You take care. Have a great day. We'll talk to you later. Remember to take action and help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.